All right, good morning, everyone. Hope you all had a great weekend, great Father's Day yesterday, and are excited to get back to work this morning. Although I know many of you did work yesterday. I know some of us on our team were out busy, which is it's a good thing. But I'm happy that you joined us this morning. We're going to start today officially the second part of our surge training. We are going to be focusing on our listings, growing as an office, growing our teams, and growing all of you individual agents in mastering the art of gaining listings. Got a lot of good information for you today. Many of you, or not many, but about 8 of you have signed up for the Get Listings Now online training with David Knox. That's going to work in conjunction with what we're showing you at 8 o'clock each day, and with the schedules that we'll send out every day on homework and assignments and things like that. Today and tomorrow, we're going to focus on kind of the big picture, what it is about listings, how we're going to get them, why we should start now, and then, of course, breaking down the steps you need to do to get that. There's a couple of reasons why we want to focus on this now. The number one is the overriding reason is to be really successful in real estate, you have to focus on listings at some level. And when I rejoined our Cupertino office, I immediately went to look at the numbers, and I found that we are a buyer's office. We have more deals on the selling side than we do on the listing side. Now, you get paid at the end of each deal. You're still helping people in need, and all of that is good. But as you have probably found, although it's always hard to get buyers, it's getting even harder now with some of the things that we have in place with Stay in Place. And if you don't have access to open houses, if you can't go door knock, 2 major tools have been taken away from you on how to get more buyers. And so my feeling is, if it's hard to get buyers and it's hard to get sellers, you're always going to be more well rewarded if you go and get the sellers. And the second reason is, I'll finish with this today, is the market numbers, the way that the market is moving right now, I think is really going to favor you gaining more listings in the next 6 to 9 months. And while that may seem like a long time, just remember, Stay in Place order was 3 months ago. So even in weird times, time moves quickly. So don't feel that talking about a 6 to 9 month window is a really long time. It'll hit us way before we realize it. And the work you do right now this morning and the homework you do this afternoon is going to gain you results in that time period. So with that, let's start. What we call this section is Grow Where We Are Not. And this is something that I started in Silver Creek when I took over in 2010. We were a very small office. We had almost no presence in our core markets. And I wanted to find ways to start gaining market share. And I won't describe them all right now. I'll just tell you that we made it. I set some objectives, and I set a goal of being the #1 listing office in our core regions. And from less than 2% market share, we grew to where we were in the 20 to 25% range in our core markets, and around 17, 15% in our secondary markets, anywhere from 5 to 10% in our tertiary markets. And I'll describe what those are a little bit later. And what we did now is, as I gained more experience, as I was introduced to more people that have done this longer than I have, I was able to incorporate some of their strategies. And this Grow Where We Are Not campaign was something I put on top of our old campaign, and from one of our sister companies at Berkshire Hathaway. And a very cool program. Again, it helped a lot of us meet our goals, not just in production, but in listings. And I think that's why you're all listening today. So our focus there will be Cupertino, Sunnyvale, and Santa Clara. Now, if you yourself are not really focused on becoming the top listing agent in those 3 cities, that doesn't mean your time will be wasted here. all the methods we show you, all the tricks we show you can apply anywhere. But I hope you all at least consider starting at least one farm in these three cities for what should be obvious reasons, but if they're not, you'll learn them today and tomorrow. All right, so here we go. Last couple of weeks, we've been talking a lot about mindset, and so I want to share this quick video with you because as we start our mastery program in Surge and we focus on getting listings and growing as a listing agent, a listing office, it's going to be all about mindset. We know these things work. We're not inventing anything. We're just really implementing and focusing our core strategies in our core markets. But it only works when it's really what you want. And I want to stress that we have 30 people on the call this morning. If only 5 of you decide this is really what I want to do, that's enough. I mean, ideally, I want all of you to do it. But if 5 of you really want it, we will help you and it'll work. If the other 25 don't really want it, but you feel compelled to take the steps anyway, we'll all be disappointed. So this is why I want to start, before we get into the details, quick reminder of what it means to really want something.
There was a young man who, he wanted to make a lot of money, and so he went to this guru, right? He told the guru, I want to be on the same level you are. And so the guru said, if you want to be on the same level I'm on, I'll meet you tomorrow at the beach at 4 a.m. He liked the beach. I said, I want to make money. I don't want to swim. Guru said, if you want to make money, I'll meet you tomorrow, 4 a.m. So the young man got there at 4 a.m. He all ready to rock and roll, got on the suit. Should have wore shorts. The old man grabs his hand and said, how bad do you want to be successful? He said, real bad. He said, walk on out in the water. So he walks out into the water. Watch this. When he walks out into the water, it goes waist deep. So he like, this guy crazy. Adrian, he's like, I want to make money. He got me out here swimming. I didn't ask to be a lifeguard. I want to make money. He got me there. So he said, come out a little further. Walked out a little further. Then he had it right around this area. He told the guy, he said, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. I don't know how many of y'all got asthma here today, but if you ever had an asthma attack before, you short of breath, SOB, shortness of breath, you wheezing. The only thing you try to do is get some air. You don't care about no basketball game. You don't care what's on TV. You don't care about nobody calling you. You don't care about a party. The only thing you care about when you're trying to breathe is to get some fresh air. That's it. And when you get to the point where all you want to do is be successful, as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. But you don't want it bad. You just kind of want it. You don't want it badder than you want to party. You don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success as much as you want to sleep. Some of you love sleep more than you love success. And I'm here to tell you today, if you're going to be successful, you got to be willing to give up sleep. You got to be willing to wake up for 3 hours of sleep, 2 hours. If you really want to be successful, some days you have to stay up 3 days in a row. Because if you go to sleep, you might miss the opportunity to be successful. That's how bad you got to want it. You got to go days without, listen to me, you got to want to be successful so bad that you forget to eat. Pain is temporary. It may last for a minute, or an hour, or a day, or even a year. But eventually, it will subside. And something else will take its place. If I quit, however, it will last forever. The most important thing is this: to be able at any moment to sacrifice what you are for what you will become. the real Eric Thomas, please stand up. Stop being this high school dropout. Stop giving up. Stop sleeping on the street. Stop walking up and down Finkel Avenue like you ain't got nothing, and get your GED. Stop being afraid to take a test. Stop being afraid to go to college because your daddy didn't go and your mama didn't go. Stop being afraid and be the best Eric Thomas you can be. But listen to me, it's going to be hard. It took me 12 years to get a 4-year degree, but I got it. And guess what? On a degree, it don't have dates. So if it took you 4 and it took me 12, it don't show up nowhere. But I'm exactly where I want to be because I realized I got to commit my very being to this thing. I gotta breathe it, I gotta eat it, I gotta sleep it. And until you get there, you'll never be successful in life. But once you get there, I guarantee you, the world is yours. So work hard and you can have whatever it is you want.
All right, really, really powerful stuff. I love listening to that. I've listened to it often. Many of you have heard it before too. I just wanted to share it. And when you get an email or you hear a class and someone is telling you, I can help you become a top listing agent, you all want it when you hear it. But it's like the example he was given, walk out and put your head underwater. And to say you want to be a listing agent is one thing. But to do the things it takes to become a listing agent is another. And some of you will step up to it, some of you won't. And that's not a judgment, that's just a fact, that's just an observation. The things that it'll take for you to get there are not a secret. The things that you need to master, anyone can master. The path you have to take is not one you have to create, it's one you just have to choose to follow. And I can tell you from experience, I have made agents into top listing agents. I know how to do it. I've done it before. And I've taken agents that were at 0 and helped them get to 40, 50, 60, 80 million. I've helped agents that were selling 35 houses a year and helped them get to over 100 houses a year. It doesn't matter what level you're starting at right now. One of the things that he said in the piece there was, you have to be ready to sacrifice what you are for what you will become. So for the most part, those of us on the call today are not top listing agents. And so to become a top listing agent, you have to change who you are, how you do business, how you think, how you operate. You have to sacrifice who you are for what you want to become. So the next 45 minutes or so and the rest of this week, I'm going to show you a lot of the steps. I'm going to show you the strategies. I'm going to show you how it's worked before. I'm going to show you things that are new and when they're new, I'll tell you, I've never tried this before, but I'm not one that's afraid of trying what's new. And it's usually because I put a lot of time and effort into planning, preparing, and doing something before I bring out what's new. So hope you're all still listening. Hope you're fired up and not scared. If you're scared, that's okay. I'll get you through the other end. And if you're fired up, you'll get me through the other end. So we'll all work here together. So I want to start with this. This is Cupertino. This is where you work. This is your city. This is where our office is located. And everything around it has to be seen like your market. It has to be seen that this is where you work. These are the people that hire you to help them with their real estate needs, and everything else is secondary. When I started this process about, I think it was 2014 in the previous office, I got this chart here and I wrote this on it and I put it up every single meeting that I had, every single Wednesday, every Tuesday, market updates, every Thursday stats class. I had it up there and I didn't always speak to it, but I wanted everyone to see it always. And the reason I wanted to see it is because this is something that was taught to me by Alon Pinnell, who was with our company for a short while. Someone I still talk to, someone I had a great conversation with this weekend. And let me explain to you what this chart is. It tells you how to become a top listing agent by focusing on becoming a top listing office. And what he said was, you have to focus on the top of the market. You have to focus on the area where you work. The office that you reside in has to be the number one office in your area, and that will help you and allow you to go there. Because he said, when you control the top, the rest comes. So you see that big circle is 1.5 million. Now, remember, this is Silver Creek. Those numbers are bigger in your market. When you can sell the $1.5 million listing, you can obviously sell the $1 million listing one street over and the $700,000 listing a couple of streets over. But you can't start at 700 and sell the 1.5. And that's how you do it. And so he taught me, and now I'm teaching you, we focus on price to get market share. And how do we do that? He said, because number one, you do not control units. You cannot make someone sell. And so that's what he means when he says we do not control units. I don't know how many people are going to list their home in Cupertino in the next 12 months. It might be more than normal. It might be less than normal. It might be exactly average. I don't control that. So I don't focus on that. I don't care if it's going to be a big listing year or a small listing year. What we do control is price. And so however many people decide to sell next year, we have to focus our activity, our marketing, our mindset on we get the highest priced home in the market. And when you do that, then you start to gain traction. When I told him, well, let me tell this first, and I'll tell you what he finished his advice to me this Saturday. To control that, we have to make sure that every house in our market is in someone's farm. So there cannot be a gap amongst all of us. 30 people on the call. We have to try to carve out Cupertino so that every month they get a letter, they get a handwritten note, they get a call, they get a text, they get something of value from one of us every single month. And that's the start of what we will accomplish. The goal is to have 20% market share. That's the minimum. That's the minimum. The pie in the sky is 30%. So I never quite reached percent, but I got close. We were at 27 in our best year in our core market. And right now, we're number one in Cupertino. We're number one with less than 5% market share. And I can tell you, the reason we're number one is because we're very good. The reason we only have 5% market share is because every house in our market is not in someone's farm. I know these numbers. I know that to be number one, you have to be the best. I know to get to 20% market share, everyone has to get something from one of us every month. And the numbers just aren't there. And we're going to fix that. It's a very simple step. It's a very simple process. But I want you to have that idea. This is Santa Clara, Sunnyvale, sorry. This is our second target. Same thing, same process. We don't control units, we control the price, but that attracts everyone. And every house in this market has to be in someone's farm. And then Santa Clara, same thing. So when I described to Alon that I was excited that we're going to kick this off again in Cupertino this morning, and honestly a little bit nervous because whenever you start something big, you're a little nervous. I've had success before. This is a successful office. There shouldn't be any reason to be nervous except we're human. But that nervous energy is something you can use. And so that's part of when he called me and I told him, we're going to do this. And I told him the goal, 20% in these 3 cities. He didn't say I was crazy. He didn't say it can't be done. He didn't say any of that. I'm looking for the text so I don't get it wrong. He simply said, should not take too long. All about marketing focus, right? That's the kind of input you want to hear from someone like Alon Pinnell when you give him a crazy plan, or what might sound crazy to others, but it's not crazy to him because he's done it for 40 years. And it's not crazy to me because I've done it for almost 10 years. And I hope that you understand that and buy into what we're talking about, what we're saying, and how we're doing it. So here you go. This is what we'll focus on. I'll show you step by step each area, each market, each city, each neighborhood. We won't control the units. We will control the price. That will attract everyone, but every house in our market has to be in someone's farm. So part of your homework starting today will be to set an appointment with Orange Coast Title. And you're going to set up an appointment with them, and they know what I'm doing. They know we're looking for Cupertino, Sunnyvale, Saratoga, and they're going to say, where's your farm? And they're going to show you how to pick a farm. They're going to help you if you've never done it before. They're going to talk about turnover rates. They're going to talk about all the things you need to understand. And then they're going to give you the farm. And that's your farm. And then I'm going to turn to helping you grow it. And I'm going to bring in our staff, and they're going to help you grow it. And here's the key. I don't really care if you ever use Orange Coast Title or not, except for this one time, to meet with them. And here's why. They know exactly what I'm doing. They know the plan. They did it with me before. And so the questions you might have on how and why or where and when, they know that they feed into a larger program. They're going to have all the information you need. And then when they help you set up that farm, they're going to show me where it is. So I'm going to make sure we have every house in our market in someone's farm. And then from then on, when you and I are talking one-on-one, or we're talking in a group meeting, and we're talking about growing your market share, not controlling units, controlling price, and making sure we are taking every single step necessary to get from 5% to 8% to 10% to 15% to 20% market share, it's all lockstep. Now, you and I both know the consumer chooses title and escrow. That's okay with me. I know functionally a lot of realtors choose it. That's okay with me too. You're going to find that that initial meeting's all you need. When you start to grow, when you start to get busy, when we're all moving as one unit in one direction, you might find it easier to work with someone that's been trained by me rather than someone that's been trained by someone else. They don't have the same program. They don't have the same plan. But keep that in mind and always follow your ethical guidance and legal guidance in using a title company. All right. So part of the reason I had my conversation with Lon this weekend is because he just wrote a book, and one that I will recommend to you highly. But I have a couple of things out here that I want to focus on as we go into this idea of what it takes to become a listing agent. And he talks a lot about that in his book, and it went perfectly with what I was going to present. So I decided to add it. In chapter 5, he asked the question, listing or selling or both? And he writes, an agent who has lots of listings can always be successful at attracting buyers since he or she has what they are looking for. Indeed, a successful listing agent controls his or her destiny. No matter who represents the buyer, the listing agent wins. The real estate success story is all about listings. If you have one, you can use it to get more of the same. You have something to advertise in order to promote yourself. You now have a name people recognize. When a seller trusts you with a listing, you inspire the trust of other sellers. That's how you build a business, one listing at a time. And then he goes on in chapter 9 to talk about, well, what does it take to be that top agent? What's the best agent DNA? And he writes, they are all listing agents. Their power comes from being the purveyors of the most exclusive properties and estates in their marketplace. They are all specializing in their local market, only in their primary market, their town, plus those towns immediately adjacent. Can the agent make roots, grow, achieve notoriety, and harvest recurring business? They are all associated with top real estate companies. It takes manpower, a network of offices, a regional scope of coverage and partnerships. You can choose to have all of these. You've already taken the first choice. You work for the top brokerage and the top office in this core market. He further writes, they are all excellent business people. They know and feel comfortable with facts, statistics, technology, bells and whistles, P&L, and industry trends. They also master marketing. They are all ambitious. Ambition is the fuel that keeps them driving uphill. It could be money, but more often than not, it is success, recognition, and the fulfillment of reaching the end result, selling extraordinary homes for the benefit of the owners. I can't put it a better way. And since he taught me this. It's the fact that I teach this because I learned it from him. And I learned it from just the decades of experience and performance that Alon generated in this field, in this area. And I'm still grateful today that I can still pick up the phone, call him and say, here's what we're doing, here's what's going on, what can we do? Are we doing it right? Can we get better? That gives you a powerful ally too in this strategy. So here we are again, the 6 things you need to be successful in real estate. We focused on before on access, time, money. Today we're talking about knowledge. How do you become a top listing agent? How do you control and dominate and get 20% of the market? Well, first you got to be active. That's obvious. Second, you got to want it. But third is you have to have the knowledge. You have to have the information that the sellers need. Everything else comes into play too, marketing, schedules, all of that. But today we're going to focus on knowledge. How do you get it? How do you make sure you can convey it? And how then you make sure that everyone knows you have it. So remember this, today we're going to focus on the data side. When I say Orange Coast Title knows my plan, they know exactly what I need from them. I want the data, I want the information, I want knowledge, institutional knowledge, recorded knowledge, everything I need to know about Cupertino, Santa Clara, and Sunnyvale. What's for sale, what's not, how many times has it sold, what's the list price, what is turnover rate, everything. You can think that it's too much to know, but when you have the right partner, understand they already have it at your disposal. They have it at a push of a button. They have it when you ask, or better yet, they have it when our operations ask for you, because our operations teams knows what you're doing. Once we know where your farm is, once we know the schedule, then you're not even going to have to wait to think, oh my God, it's July, I've got to send this. You're going to get it in your inbox because we know what you're doing, we know where you're at, and we know what's coming next. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, but just a little teaser on why we work with such a direct system, clean system, and try to keep it all under one platform. We'll talk about the systems, we'll talk about the training, and we'll talk about the people that are going to help you execute it. So here's a little exercise that I try to give. It's a lot easier when there's people in the audience that I can speak to directly, so I'll go quickly. And it's just an exercise I like to do when talking about building database, using data to build your listing presence in an office, right? And so this is a property in Morgan Hill. And I always ask the question to the audience, what is this house worth, right? And some people look at it and say, well, status active 1.2 million. And I say, well, that was in March 2018. So it's a loaded question. What is this house worth? Well, you have to start asking questions. When are we talking about? What was it worth in 2018? Well, about 1.2 evidently, except it didn't sell. But what was it worth in 1974, which is the year it was built? What was it worth in 1998, 2004, 06, run up and the top of the market? How about 07 when the market tanked? Again in 07 because it was relisted that year. Then in 2013 because it was relisted again. 2014, and then what will be worth in 2028? So you start to get a lot of different things. Age, location, what's the general market? If Morgan Hill's hot, it'll be hot. If Morgan Hill's cold, it'll be cold. What about the economic conditions? If we're in recession, it'll be not that great. If the markets and the world and global and state and local economies are doing fantastic, the price will be higher. People will have more money, more income. They'll feel better about it, and they'll offer you more money. All these things change. Well, where do you get that data? You can look up all this information from your title company. They can give it to you. So when you go into a listing appointment, or better yet, when you start to market for an area like this, you have to understand, I know everything about every house in my farm because I have a data partner. I know that they know what I want to do. They know that I have a schedule and a plan to send letters, to make calls, to do digital advertising, executing the plan with me. They are, in fact, by doing their part, no better partner than that, right? So another book, as you might gather, I read a lot. So you don't have to read all of these. You can just trust me. But if you do want to choose a book that to really understand data and how it works in real estate, this is a great one, The Wisdom of Crowds. In this book, James Surowiecki, or Wiki, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, talks about how predictive analytics came to be and how we can understand it in many ways. And he makes the point that when you ask one person a question, they may or may not know the answer. You don't know how long they've been in the subject area. You don't know if they're an expert or a novice. You don't know how much they've been exposed to. But when you start asking more and more people the same question, you are by default gaining more experiences, gaining more relevance, gaining more levels of experience and knowledge. And even if they're guessing, they're bringing all of their life experiences to find out what it was. So in this experiment, he went to a county fair in England, and the crowd was guessing the weight of an ox. And you paid your shilling or whatever it costs, and you made your guess, and you put your guess in a box or something. And at the end of the fair, they pulled a name, a number, and a guess, and whoever got closest won. So he witnessed this, and he said, it would be very interesting. So after the contest, he asked, because he was in this field of study, he said, can I have all of the guesses? And he took all of the guesses. And the guesses were from kids, from farmers, from ranchers, from professionals that understood about breeding and raised cattle and knew all that. So everything from the most experienced, best expert, to the novice, to this pure guess. And when he looked back and took down all the numbers, the average was the weight of the cow. And in the book, he gives a lot of other experiments and experiences like that, where collective knowledge was greater than the expert knowledge. And I want you to know that in real estate, when someone asks you, what's my house worth? What do? You don't just guess. You don't say, well, I'm the expert, let me just pull it out of my head. You go and do, hopefully, comparables. You go and get data. You go and look, what's for sale now? What just closed? What's the market doing right now? You pull data. That data is the experience and the compilation of experiences from a lot of people, buyers, sellers, agents, appraisers, all kinds of people that all came together and came up with a number for the price of the comparables. And that's your jar, guessing the weight of an ox. And then you bring in all that, you put down a number, and then you start adding some of your experience, right? Like, well, these were like 3 months ago, this was a half a mile away, and you start adjusting. So you do bring in your knowledge, you do bring your expertise, but it starts with the wisdom of crowds, this very concept. And so I read this book years ago, and I said, this is real estate. I can teach this. I can show people how this works, so that they're not afraid of the data. It's just other people. It's just other agents like you at some point. It's just a seller thinking their house is worth more, working with buyers that think it's worth less, and then all sending it to a bank appraiser, and who knows what they're thinking, but it all joins together. We had, what's the value of a home? It's what a buyer and seller are willing to agree on. And that is true, but it's really deeper than that. It's what the community of people involved in the transaction directly and indirectly think it's worth. And that's all data is, that's all predictive analytics is, and I need you to understand it, that each one of you is a walking predictive analytic machine in real estate when you know how to leverage, when you know how to access it, right? So why does this matter? I like to share this too, I love learning and studying from everyone, including our competitors. And a couple of years ago, Gary Keller, he has a meeting every year for his company, and he comes out with a big idea. Years ago, he came out and he said, we are a technology company now. Number one, that means we build technology. We are not a real estate company anymore. Now, that's not me saying it, that's Gary Keller, who has the authority and the right to say what his company is or is not. But it was a great presentation. I happened to be at Inman in San Francisco when he presented this. No, I'm sorry. This was I believe in Austin. The next year he came on stage to talk about it and challenge it. and it was explosive. It was really cool to be there live and talk about it. But what was he talking about? Got a lot of flack from people in the industry, right? Including this writer that I'm going to share with you right now. He was saying he's hoping to build as much technology in-house as possible, right? Because of the data. And I think that's brilliant. And you need to understand as an agent, this is what every company is doing. So I'm not giving a shout or good or bad about Keller. It's just a really great, most open presentation of this idea that I have found, and that's why I use it. So what does it mean? So this writer talks about it, and he says, Keller is absolutely correct that technology is rewriting all of the rules in real estate. And knowing technology and understanding the data, this writer says, is not the future of real estate, as Gary Keller said. It's the truth is that the game is already over. It's already here. Data, which technology is used to gather and master and utilize, is the raw material that is worthless until refined, transformed into some useful product. Now, understand when Gary Keller or anyone is talking about technology changing real estate or data changing real estate or predictive analytics, they are not first talking about how it's going to change how we work with buyers. It is all focused on listings. That is the key you need to understand when you're talking anything about this. And that's why I share it in today's training on how to get more listings, right? It's that raw material that we put into technology to get more listings. So the writer writes that he thinks there's a problem with this work. He thinks there's a failure of strategy. The fundamental cause, data on why so many companies, so many industries are disrupting our business. The writer says, it's clear that Keller thinks the cause of today's problem is that the real estate agent, and by extension the real estate industry, did not realize the value of data and freely gave it away to outsiders, to third-party vendors, to tech companies whose goals were to first the tech-enabled agent, and then the agent-enabled tech, and finally just tech. Here's a very interesting point. We're talking about the real estate industry giving away their data. What they mean is we put our listings on Zillow, and Zillow used that data to sell us back leads and things like that. But I will remind you, real estate blew up when we went away from the broker controlling all the data to sharing on an MLS, to sharing at broker meetings. And what was that? That was sharing data. The difference was who were we sharing data with? A listing agent saying, coming soon, who has a buyer? A buyer says, I have a want and need. I have a buyer looking in this area. That's sharing data. We've always done the sharing of data. And then we always, those that rose up were not the ones that did share the data. It was those that understood it, used it, and put it in their marketing, put it in their strategy, put it in their listing presentations or buyer presentations, and killed it. So don't get caught by all the noise about tech and data. It's simply real estate 101. It's simply a law saying we do not control the units, we control the price. House in our farm, in our area, has to be in someone's farm. Now we get the benefit of 40 years of something working, and then adding data, and then adding tech, and then adding analysis and our partners in this process to do it faster, to do it cheaper, and to do it more efficiently. And that's how we gain market share. All right. So who owns the data? I can see all the data. So can you if you look hard enough. Does that mean that I own it? If not, I can use it better than anyone else. Can I monetize that? So, I've been a manager and not really in the market as a listing agent or buying agent for over a decade. And yet, I get the privilege of helping every Wednesday agents understand the market. Why? Because for the last 10 years, I've been seeing the data. I didn't have a listing. I didn't work with buyers. But I just looked at the data created by agents working with sellers and working with buyers. And so I learned to use it in ways that most have not yet. And I'm going to share all that with you to help you gain market share and increase your listings. So this information here is from Los Altos, right? And I've never worked in Los Altos, but on any given property, I have an idea of how much it will sell. I can go back 20 years and look at what's going on in a property, in a neighborhood, in a city of Los Altos. I can see where the market is trending. I can get a really good idea of what's happening just because I understand how to use data. And so I can do this for Cupertino, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara. I've not listed homes there. And how am I going to train you and teach you to list there? Because I'm going to teach you first the methodology and the data analysis that you can acquire. And then we're going to learn the marketing techniques and the process and the steps to get in front of sellers every single month, making sure every house in our farm, in our market, is in someone's farm. So this is why in about 2018, I thought we really have to get on top of this. This is HomeLight. When I first introduced this, nobody knew who HomeLight was. Some of you may now know. But they're just a company that says, sell your home faster and for more money. Well, of course, that's what every realtor has always said, right? So why go to this website? Why not just go to an agent that tells you that? Well, because they don't own any data, but they tell you, we analyze millions of home sales to find the best performing real estate agents. That's their pitch right here. That's what you want to click on this button for, to find the data where they have analyzed millions of homes to sales to find the best performing real estate agents. So how do they analyze millions of home sales to find the best performing real estate agents? Well, I clicked to find out, and they said, well, we start with the data. We believe that when considering one of the biggest financial transactions of your life, you should have 100% transparency in order to make the optimal choice. Something more scientific than a referral from a friend or a sign on a park bench. HomeLight is a leading resource for finding objective agent performance data online. That's not true. MLSs. How do I know that? Because I use the MLS. They don't employ agents. They have data scientists from MIT, Harvard, and Stanford to tell you how much that two-bedroom apartment, condo in Seven Trees in South San Jose is going to cost. Do you really think a Harvard is crunching those numbers? No. Just go on MLS, just like you can, just like I can. But it's a great pitch. Are you looking to buy or sell? Click buy, click sell, click rent. They don't have any listings. Whose do they use? They use yours. Whose data do they use? They use yours. And what are they using for? So that you don't get the listing or the buyer. Now, I understand that. I know how they do it. I know how to teach you. But what are they doing? They are using a platform technology to farm every home in their market. They're trying to reach every single homeowner every single day, every single month. How many people will buy or sell? What they're trying to do? They're trying to control the price by making sure that everyone is in their farm. Alon should have launched this company, but he did it. I want you to understand this is what you're dealing with, and I want to bring it back to you can still do it better than they can, and I'll explain why. So the next step I did in my company was, all right, I'll put in my own address. Tell me, HomeLight, get your data scientists from MIT and Harvard and Stanford and tell me who's the best person to list this house in Evergreen. And you know what? They picked a fantastic agent. I put in my info, put the data. Some of you know this lady, fine realtor, one of the best realtors out there, quite honestly. And anyone that would be on this site, click that number, got this name, and called her, would be satisfied with her performance in selling their home. All right. And here's a danger, because I know increase your performance so you could. And why would you want to keep your business relying on someone clicking on HomeLight and seeing someone else's, when you control 500 homeowners every month, hear from you, talk to you, listen to you, get information from you, and then you have all the knowledge you need to make sure that you are the best agent for the sale of their home. Now, again, how did I know that HomeLight was not quite right? Because I do the local data. I make sure I understand everything. So HomeLight partners with local data providers to gather transaction history on all agents in San Jose. Now, guess who the local partners they gather with, they use to gather local data? MLS and title plans. who do I want you to partner with? You have the MLS and a title company that has access to the title plans. That's all it is. Lenders and other information, we have it too. We have it local. We have the local flavor, the weekly flavor. We have better data than they do because we are on the ground and they are not. And that's where I need you to be and understanding this at such a deep level so we win this. All right, so looked it up. I looked up the data and it showed me who's the best agent in this market. Best agents, according to number of sales in 95135. I didn't see Julie here anywhere. Again, I know she's a great agent. If she had to list my house, I would be happy. So I'm not knocking the agent, I'm knocking the process and showing you how it's open to you. So when I looked in there, I looked at which agent sells it the fastest, which is what HomeLight promised, and for the most money, which is what HomeLight promised. And here was the answer. It was Tweedo. Within 10 days and 105% list price, right? She happened to be an agent in Silver Creek. Not a coincidence. She knew the market better, and I could prove it. And this is where I want to get you. The training, the systems that she used to get there is what you will get. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'm gonna skip this because we're running out of time. I want to keep it right to an hour today. I will send you the link, and this is just Tom Ferry describing what's going on with our markets and why we need to understand what I just described with you about technology and data and utilize our human touch to leverage data and technology to be top listing agents. All right. This is just a summary of what he was talking about in there. I'm going to focus now on, this is on our market. So, okay, here we go. So I looked at the numbers last night and awesome news. We are number one in Cupertino, Santa Clara, Sunnyvale. But as you see here, we are number one with a 4.22% market share. Awesome to be number one. That tells me we don't have a focused, dedicated plan. One is happening by chance. And so I'll take being number one all day. That's not good enough. We can get to 10%, first step, eventually to 15%, eventually to 20%. And that's what I want you to understand. We hold less than 5% market share. Number 2 and 3 are offices located in Los Altos. This tells you that these cities are not primary markets in the real estate community. As hard as that seems to believe, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, Cupertino are not primary markets. I'm not going to go into how I know this. I've just been doing this for 10 years. And when Los Altos sell a bed community to Los Altos at such a high rate, that's how the market views you. So I need you to understand, you need to focus on this is your primary market. This is a fantastic market. This is our high end, and this is where we need to be every day. Now, let me tell you, we need to get to 10% market share in these cities. What does that mean? That's 346 additional units and $500 million more in sales each year. What's your share going to be? That's all I want to know. As an office, we're number 6 in Cupertino, but we'll grow that. The steps are easy. To do that, we'll improve our knowledge of the market, and that's my specialty. That's why I feel so confident that no matter where we're starting from, no matter where you're starting from, I can increase your market share. I can increase your listings, and we can get to that 10%, right? So those of you that are on the Knox training program, you should have gotten your link. You should have it by now, and I hope you've logged in. I will check later and make sure you're not. And this is all we're doing. To make money in real estate, you must work the side of scarcity. So in a low inventory market, you need listings now. If you work with buyers at all, be sure they have a home to sell. This action plan is designed to get you focused on the immediate short-term activities that will secure a listing within 1 month or sooner. And then it goes into the steps. Get into the listing mindset. That's what this morning is about. Contact your sphere of influence. That would be the steps for this afternoon. And script practice, and then your actual 1 hour of dialing and calling will be at 10. Knock the neighborhood. Use open house to secure listing prospects. And you're going to ask, I can't go knock and I can't use open house. Well, not the traditional way, but we'll show you new ways of doing it in the short term until this comes back. But it will come back and you need to master it now. And I get this all the time, but this is new. I already know how to do it. And then I say, then why are we a buyer selling office and not a listing office? And why do we only have 10% market share? Do we not have 10% market share and only 5%? So I always tell agents, and I say it lovingly, but firmly, you can tell me your story, I have the facts. So I hope you all have an open mind, and I'm not talking down to your past performance or current experience. I'm just saying, at best, your execution is lacking. At worst, you do need to improve your skills. You do need to change your focus. You do need to change your strategy, and all of that you will be taught. You will be guided step by step by step, all the way down to preparing and counseling sellers. We'll teach it all. If you're on Knox, you're on the clock. I can see every day the videos you watch, the tasks you perform or don't perform, and I can see, are you 10% through, 20% through, 90% through? And remember, what we measure grows. What we measure and report back grows exponentially, and that's all we're doing here. So looking forward to it. I want to finish with this. This is really, really important. The last reason why I want to turn to focusing on listings right now. We all remember 2018 as a really good year in real estate, especially the first 5 months. Everything was going nuts. Multiple offers everywhere. 100, 200, 300K over asking price was normal, not the exception. What we failed to realize is that we could see it coming from June 2017. Now I'm going to show you how we knew that. Pendings were flat year over year in June 2017. Barely 1% under where they were the previous year at the same time. While active listings were way down year over year. They were down 32%, way under where we were. What does that mean? That means there was way more pending deals than active, which was a tremendous pressure on prices. Now that happened from June all the way through December. I can show you the numbers if you don't believe me, but I want to show you something. Look where we are right now. Flat in pendings, way, way under listings year over year. All right, what happened next? The result was that the lowest inventory we have ever seen to start a year in Santa Clara County. 19 condos and townhomes on January 2nd, 266 single-family residences. So when pendings so far outpace actives and the new listings are not coming as fast as buyers can buy them, then you're going to get a super low inventory number. And that's what we're seeing right now. Pendings are growing at a fast rate compared to actives. So we're at 413 units. I'm sorry, 1,000 units. And if you think you can't get to 266 in January from 1,059 in June, look again. 949 actives on June 19, 2017, dropped to 266 by January 2nd. 1,059 listings June 2020. I'm not guaranteeing that it'll be this, but that's where it's trending. And pendings are growing. So right now is the time for you to start your listing campaign in Cupertino, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, knowing the numbers, knowing the facts, knowing the data. Where is it going? It's going to go lower and lower and lower. And people are normal. As the inventory gets lower, especially in this time, most agents will pull back. Well, if something that's already hard gets harder, more people stop doing it. And I like to go in when everybody else is leaving. It's going to be harder to get a listing from now through December. That's when we lay down our listing program. That's when we make sure we don't control units. Inventory is going to go down. That's not our problem. That's not our opportunity. We control price. Cupertino, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, some of the highest priced real estate in the country, in the world, and it's our market. It's our focus. It's where we fish every single day. And we know what's coming, so we can put the hard work in. How bad do you want to be a listing agent in Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, and Cupertino? Is it bad enough? Is it bad enough that you will do what it takes? You want to be a listing agent in these cities as bad as you want to breathe? I don't think 30 of you are, but I think 5 or 10 of you will, or maybe 15. Or in my ultimate dream, I'm wrong and all 30 of you want it. And then your only question is, what do I do next? I can show you, and I've told you, the big tech companies, they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes. We know what you don't know, realtors know. They only know what we know because they only have the data that we provide. We provide the data by actually transacting with people, by actually calling people and say, would you like to sell your house? And calling others and say, would you like to buy this house? And then we negotiate and we set the price. And then that price and those comparables go into adding the record at the title plan. And this is what this house does in this neighborhood, in this city, in this area. And then a company like HomeLight says, well, we're going to hire scientists from Stanford and MIT, and we're going to tell you who the best realtors are. And it's a farce. It's a farce because we allow it. We're not losing because we gave our data away. We're losing because we're not doing what makes us and sets us apart. And what sets us apart is what worked 40 years ago, adding technology, adding systems, adding tools that we didn't have 40 years ago. So I can tell someone, you can do $100 million a year in sales. You can build a team that does it. I can help you. I can analyze it. I can show you. I can demonstrate. Go and sit this week with Orange Coast and say, I need a farm of at least 500 in Sunnyvale, Cupertino, or Santa Clara. I need the data. I need access. I'm going to go and find, I have the tools already that I need, a CRM, marketing, transaction history, to become the most knowledgeable agent in my farm overnight, because you know who to ask questions of. And now you know, if you didn't before, the environment that we're in. Everything that was happening here in June of 2017 to make 2018 the best year in real estate ever, look it up, is happening right now. And here's the benefit. We built this system before and we know how to use it, and we're 2 years better in reading the data and teaching you how to use it and training Orange Coast on how to work with us and help us as a partner, as an affiliated partner, to reach the goals that you set, and using Moxie Engage to go through the process, and using Knox training to stay on track and do all the basic things you need to do to utilize the technology and the data that we've given you and that you have access to. But it starts with, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to be a top listing agent? You don't have to figure out how. You only have to find out what's my why, and then you have to meet with Orange Coast Title, get your farm in one of these 3 cities, and then you have to give me a schedule, give me your goals and your business plan, and give me your availability, and then we'll set the task, and they will be done for you. So what we're going to do through this week, we're going to teach you and train you the process, and then I'm going to sit with Orange Coast and say, I need 12 title tips. I need a title tip for July. What's the best thing a realtor can do right now to send to their farm and get a listing? And then we're going to build that. We're not going to have a meeting and have you all join us and tell you what the title tip is. We can do that, but that'll get us to number 1 at 5%. What we're going to do is we're going to build it, and then you're going to push the button, and then it's going to go out. And then we're going to have every home in Santa Clara, Sunnyvale, and Cupertino in our farm. And because we know how this works, when we're pushing out 15, 20,000 pieces a month, we're going to get a 2 or 3% response rate. And because we practice scripts to dialogues to conversations, and because we have access to all the knowledge you will need to answer the questions they will give you about their home, in your farm, in our market area, you're going to get the listing. And we're going to go from number 1 at 5% to number 1 at 10% to number 1 at 20% market share. It's been done before. It will be done again by the company, by the office, by the agents that say, I want it so bad, I want it like I want my next breath. And that's all it takes. All right. So thank you so much for giving me the time today. If I scared you a little bit, that's okay. Sometimes we need a little fear. Understand it's been done before. And the people that have mastered this are the ones stepping up to help you with it. Gino has done it before, and he's training and teaching Jess and I. Alon has done it before, and he's happy to help me, help you when we can. Jess and I have done it before. And so the only question is, have you done it before? And if the answer is yes, we'll make you better. If the answer is no, we'll help you start, okay? So sign off. I'll see you at 9:30 on script practices. You have homework for today. Those of you that are in Knox training, log in, get your passwords, start watching the videos, start doing the tasks on how to get listings now, how to get a listing in the next 30 days, and building the fundamental skills that will help you be a top listing agent for as long as you're in this business. And then set an appointment with Orange Coast Title to meet with them and say, Robert's crazy, but I believe him, and I want a farm in Cupertino, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara. And throughout this week, we're going to teach you the next steps on how to get it done. All right? See you everyone later. Have a great day. I'm excited, and I hope you are too. Bye-bye.